Hello, happy Monday, and welcome to Meeting of the Minds Mondays. I am your host, Intellects. I hope your week is off to a great start. All right, so we have been delving into a topic that I think is very necessary in order for us to be where we need to be, right? So, this episode focuses on, and before I get there, if you have not been following us during our series, make sure to go back to our YouTube channel, to our app, to our pages on social media, just to see what we've been focusing on. But it's okay, you'll have a chance to catch up if you have not. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. If it's not, welcome back. But our topic, the series that we have been on, is called Purpose Work, and we are on part 4, y'all. So when it comes to doing work, you can be at a job, you can be doing work, but it's not in your purpose. And so is it a waste of time? You can learn from anything, but if you are not being intentional about where you are and where you need to be, then, it could possibly be something that you are not really being intentional about, because when you are in your purpose work, it's something that you love. It's something that is on your mind all the time. You can't go a day without doing. What's that one thing that pops up? If you are silent, your day is done and like your body's at rest, and those thoughts just keep coming to your mind. What are some of those things that you think about where it's like, oh, you know what? I could have did more of that. I need to do this, or this needs to get started. Like, what are some of those things? Because that could be a part of your purpose work, and you are reminding yourself that you need to get up on it. All right, so we are going to finish what we started from our last part 3. We're going to delve right back into where we were. All right, so check this out.
Stressful few weeks. I just want to check in and see that you're okay. So I pride myself on that. I think that was the coup of Start With Why, to be honest. I'm not the first person to talk about purpose at work, but back when I started talking about the why, if you talked about purpose at work, you were some weirdo hippie, And so talking about purpose at work, you're literally only preaching to the converted, this very small group of people who believed in it. And the coup of Start With Why was the language, which is I found a neutral language that made those who needed to hear the message. It also was new language that those that were struggling to tell their bosses now had new language. And I got that in the early days of Start With Why. The number of people who came up to me and said, thank you, you've given me language that is helping me tell them the thing I've been trying to tell them for years. So once again, it goes back to language.
So let's talk about why then.
Yeah.
It's the global bestseller. Many, many copies around the world have been and continue to be and will continue to be sold. But I'm also sure there might be a few people listening to this that are thinking, hang on a minute, we'll Start With Why? What's that about? Or even people who maybe have heard of the book or might have read some of the book, but would love to hear more from you about it. So could you explain the concept of Start With Why for the uninitiated?
So very simply, every single one of us knows what we do. The products we sell, the services we offer, the jobs we perform.
Yeah.
Some of us know how we do what we do, the things that we think make us stand out or distinguish us from others who do similar things to us. But very, very few of us can clearly articulate why we do what we do. I don't mean to make money. I mean, what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why did you get out of bed this morning? Why does your organization exist? And why should anybody care? And what I learned is that the great leaders, the most inspiring leaders, everybody from Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Steve Jobs, all these great leaders, these inspiring leaders, every single one of them thinks, acts, and communicates the exact same way. And it's the complete opposite to the rest of us. Where we start telling people what we do, they start telling you what they believe. And what they do simply serves as tangible proof of what they believe. And the magical thing about this little idea is it's not my opinion. It's based on the biology of how the human brain makes decisions.
Go on, tell us more about that.
So the human brain, there's a part of the brain called the neocortex, which is our Homo sapien brain. It's the newest part of our brain. It's responsible for all of our rational thoughts and language. It's just not responsible for decisions. This is where the what exists, right? It's very rational, easy to see, tangible. The limbic part of our brain is responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. This is where gut decisions come from. It's also responsible for all of our behavior, but it has no capacity for language, which is why it's hard to put feelings into words. This is why we use analogies and metaphors all the time. And so when we start with why, you're actually talking to the decision-making part of the brain. That's why it feels inspiring. This is why you light up or get goosebumps when you hear those kinds of messages, or you feel like somebody's talking directly to you, as opposed to describing a product which you can understand, and it's all very rational. And most people lead with the rational. They're trying to make a tangible or a rational case why you should or shouldn't do something, or buy or not buy something. The great leaders inspire us to buy. And again, it's just the biology.
So I love that point you make about how, like, the neutrality of a language. There's a phrase that I heard an educationalist talk about, of language that is psychologically privileged, that you can get ideas in. So if there's somebody listening to this that maybe wants to start exploring their why, what's the kind of language or the questions that they should be asking that sort of open up these kind of conversations
For themselves?
Well,
to learn their own why? Or
well, first for themselves, but also, well, let's talk about for themselves initially, and then maybe talk about how they can do it with teams that they're part of.
Sure. So to do it for yourself, to learn your own why, first of all, understand that a why is basically an origin story. It's where you come from. We are the products of our upbringing. You know, the experiences you had growing up make you who you are, make me who I am. Your why is fully formed by your mid to late teens, and it doesn't change for the rest of your life. You have only one why. You are who you are. Now, whether you're living in balance with that is a different conversation. Whether you're making the decisions that are of high authenticity, and that's all that authenticity means. Authenticity means the things that I say and the things that I do reflect who I actually am. That's all it means. That's a different conversation. And so when you know your why, the ability to make those choices becomes a lot easier. You know, we've all had the feeling of flow and things like this, except it's a little bit like a roulette game. Like sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. It's like, I've done the same thing 1,000 times. How come it doesn't feel good anymore? So here's a fun way you can learn your why. It's called the friends exercise. Go and do this with a best friend. You know, do not do this with a spouse. Do not do this with a sibling. Do not do this with a parent. It doesn't work. Best friend. Somebody who loves you, who will be there for you. They'll pick up the phone at 3:00 in the morning, and you would do the same for them. And ask them this simple question. Why are we friends? And they're going to look at you like you're nuts, because the part of the brain that controls that deep feeling of love and trust doesn't control language. It's a difficult question to answer. And so they'll say, I don't know. Of course they know. They just don't have the words for it. And so you actually stop asking the question why, and you ask the question what. What specifically is it about me? Come on, what specifically is it about me that I know that you would be there for me no matter what? And they'll hem and they'll haw and they'll struggle, and you can't help them and you can't let anybody else help them. You have to let them go through the process. And they'll start describing you. I don't know, you're smart, you're loyal, I trust you, and you play devil's advocate. Good. That's the definition of a friend. You have that with lots of people. What specifically is it about me that I know you would be there for me no matter what? And again, they'll go through a few rounds of complaining and describing you. And eventually they'll quit and they'll start describing themselves. And this is what my friends said to me. They said, I don't know, Simon. All I know is that I can sit in a room with you. I don't even have to talk to you. And I feel inspired. And I got goosebumps. In fact, I'm getting them right now. It happens every time. Because what they did is they put the value that I have in the world into words, and I had the emotional response. And that's what'll happen. Somebody will say something that you will either get goosebumps or you'll well up or something will happen. And that's when you know you've hit it. Because the thing that you give to the world, that you should be working to give to the world consistently, is the reason those people love you. It's the reason why you're not friends with everyone. And if you do this with multiple friends, The amazing thing is they will say very similar, if not the exact same thing, because that's the thing you give to the world. That is your why. It is the reason you get out of bed in the morning. It's a really fun exercise. With teams, it's slightly different. But even for companies, a why is still an origin story. Where the company came from, the founder's story is the why of the organization. For teams, it's a little different. In those cases, you want to tell specific stories that reflect why we love coming to work every day, right? And by the way, you asked before, like, how do I communicate my why to other people? Just remember, I'm not smarter. I've just been doing this a lot longer, so I'm practiced, which is why I can sort of wax on about a vision or something like that. It's just because it's taken me many iterations to get it right. The easiest way to do it is to simply say to somebody, let me tell you why I love working here. Not like, love. Like is rational. I like my job. I like the people. I get paid well. I like my job. Love is emotional. It's like, the question is like, do you love your wife? Yes, I like her a lot. It's a different standard, right?
Yeah.
Right? Love is a higher standard. So when you talk about what you love, it's profoundly different. I'll give you a silly example, actually one that comes from the book, which I haven't thought about in quite a long time. Trying to communicate your ideas to someone, whether it's selling a product, selling yourself in an interview, or just in a meeting with people, just you want people to quote unquote buy your ideas, right? It's the same as dating. I mean, think about it. You sit across a table from somebody and you hope to make the sale. You hope to make the deal, right? That's what you want. So let's make a dating analogy. Let's call him Brian, right? And we send Brian out on a date. And he sits down at the table with this girl that he was set up with. And this is how he starts the date. He goes, I'm incredibly rich. I'm very successful. I'm on TV a lot, which is great because I'm quite good looking. I know a lot of famous people, and I have a beautiful house. You should come by sometime. Now the question is, how well did that date go? Instinctively, we all know that was crap, right? But think about how people sell their ideas or how companies sell themselves. It's like, we're a very, very successful company. You may have seen our advertising on TV. We're very good at what we do. We have beautiful offices. You should come by and see them sometime. Well, if we know the date was crap, why would we think that would?
Okay, what did y'all think about that? And for those who don't know, that was Simon. Okay, he has an unorthodox way of presenting his messages, and a lot of people gravitate to him. Some people are irritated by him, but the way he breaks down specifics is so awesome. All right, and he breaks down how we all know what we do. Some of us can explain how we do things, but it's a very few of us who can actually articulate why we do what we do. And he said great leaders, they all think, act, and communicate the same way. They tell you what they believe, and then their actions show you what they believe. And that's what makes them successful, because they do it completely different from the norm, right? We're going to get into that, but he spoke on purpose work, right? And he spoke on basically knowing your why, knowing why you're doing what you're doing, knowing the difference between liking and loving something. When you like something, that's one level. When you love something, that's another level. Like I said earlier, it's always on your mind. You're always wanting to do it. Even if you don't have a lot of time, you always put that on the forefront, like, this is what I need to be doing. Okay, so think about it, right? I want you all, this is interactive, right? I want you all to share what you believe your purpose work is, how long you've known it to be your purpose, right? Some of us have known since we were really, really young what we were supposed to do. Some of us kind of stumbled across it as we got older. Some of us have already been aged and been out here, experienced life for many years, decades, and then at a certain moment during that period, that's when you found out this is what I need to be doing, right? Don't worry, all right? We all have a purpose to fulfill. It's all about getting more in tune with who you are to figure out what you're here to do, why you're here to do it, how you're going to do it, all of those things. That is a part of the purpose work. That's a part of the journey, learning what you're here to do and actually doing it, right? Not being afraid, no matter what it looks like, no matter how it looks, being intentional about where you're going and who you're going with and what you're doing it for and how it's actually going to get done. All right, so just a short commercial break. If you are in need of help with trying to figure out what your purpose work is, if you kind of have an idea and you just need help with the groundwork, with the legwork, helping you to promote your artistry, go to intellects.com. We are here to help you. We do free consultations. That's right, free 99, where you get a specialized and customized plan specifically for your unique artistic needs, because we want you to be the best at what you do, and we all could use a little help. All right, so if you are that person that needs that help, come to Intellects, book a consultation, look at all the services and things that we provide here, and if it's something that you resonate with, connect with us. Subscribe to our email list. It's free 99. You stay in the know, on the know, and see things before everyone else. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Both of them are free 99. We also do have member fees where you get all-inclusive access to all the things that we have to offer, discounts, some goodies, and so much more. If you want to be a part of the intellectual community, where it's a support system where you can promote what you got going on and you can see things that only the community sees, join our app, the Artrepreneurs Hub. It's under the Mighty Networks app. You can also click the link on intellects.com, but we are here to help you if you have any questions, if you just want that support system, if you want that community, if you need that connection, we are here for you. All right. We want you to be the best at what you do. We want you to walk in your purpose work. So connect with us so that we can help you serve your gift to the world. All right. That was our little short break. Yes, but we like Simon over here. Okay, he's doing his thing. He breaks it down. He was just getting into how if someone was on a date and the person just shared all of their accolades, how would the date go? Depends on the person that they're with, right? Depends on where that person's mindset is. If that's something that you're attracted to, do you really care if they have a lot of money, if they're successful, if they're this and they're that? Everyone has their preference list, right? But if someone personally were to like be on a date with me, I don't really do dates, but just for the sake of an example, if someone were to come up to me and say, listen, I'm successful, I'm on TV, I have this going on, I have that, I'd be like, that's great, but I don't really care about those things, right? Like I do, expect whoever it is to have something, to own something, to be striving to be the best that they could be, to be walking in their purpose work. But for you to share it like that just shows a certain level of arrogance, like, oh, I can have you because I have these things. Nope, sorry. Access denied, right? But it all depends on your expectations, your standards, right? We all should have standards. And if their vision fits into your vision, you can't have two people with opposing lives to try to come together and work together. Like when you come together with someone, whether it's in business, whether it's personal, friendships, whatever, it should make sense to your walk, right? If someone is doing something opposite of what you believe in and you want to be friends, it's going to come a time or many times when you clash, right? It should make sense. Someone should believe in your vision. You should believe in their vision and allow it to work together so that you can coincide with each other and help, complement each other in whatever gifts and talents and purpose work that you've got going on and they've got going on, right? So like I said, it all depends on the person, their mindset, what they're looking for. If it's somebody that's just on the shallow surface and you just like, okay, I don't really care about none of that. I don't care about relationship. I don't care about digging deep. I don't care about the love. I just want the things and what they can get from me. Then somebody presenting themselves that way would be attractive to them. But if you have standards and values and integrity and things of that nature, that stuff doesn't matter, because ultimately we all want to have wealth, but it's not about the money. It's about what the money brings, the peace, the freedom, the security, all these things that the money brings is what we actually want, not necessarily the money, right? Because money comes and goes. It's an asset. It's an exchange of something, right? It's a tool, all right? But the ultimate goal is to get what comes from it. All right, so let's jump back into this and see what else Simon got to say.
It doesn't, right? Now let's send Brian back out again. And this time we'll arm him with his why. And we'll say he doesn't know his why, but he can answer specific questions about love, right? He can give specific examples. So he sits down again and he says, I absolutely love my work. Just the other day, just 3 days ago, one of my team members was struggling. And I had the opportunity to I was walking down the hall and I was late for a meeting, but I thought, you know what, this is more important to me. And I sat down with them and helped them figure out a problem. And then I just went to my meeting and showed up late. And when I explained why I was late, everybody said, yeah, of course you did the right thing. And I got to tell you, it is the most magical thing in the world to come to work every day in a place where I get to do that, and it's so appreciated. And the best thing about it was I made a lot of money because of it, and I got to meet a lot of famous people. I get to go on TV all the time, which is really great because I'm good looking, and I got to buy a beautiful house. You should come by sometime. All the same rational stuff is there, but how different did that feel?
Yeah.
Right? And so now the rational stuff is the proof, but it's not the reason to buy. So if you can tell a specific story of what you love, and it's a high bar, you have to love it. It's a way to attract people who love the same thing. And the best thing about it is it's a filter, because there are some people listening to that story and think that's cheesy. We're not going to do well together in business. So it's a fantastic filter that it attracts the right people and it repels the wrong people.
Brilliant.
I've got a lot of things running through my head, right? The biggest one is this this fear that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to find my why. Now, at this point in the conversation, Simon offered to help me find my why. Here's a small example of what we discussed.
You had that experience of sitting in the back of the car,
yeah.
Your mum probably trying to keep your dad awake. Was there something in particular about this one, or is that just one you found to try and capture the general memory?
I think it was because my parents were really busy. So my dad was a charity worker, but also was doing a degree while we were kids. My mum was a full-time teacher. Mm-hmm. So there wasn't loads of, we weren't a family that did loads of stuff, actually. Mum and dad were, they worked, basically. And then the weekends were a list of jobs, Saturday and Sunday. Mm-hmm. And they're still like that even now in their 70s. They just you go in the house, they have a list of jobs all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think it was just that was gone, and it was just, we were just together at those moments. So that's why that stands out far more than being at home, really. I wouldn't really pick up on anything.
So it's the joy of going on the adventure with the family.
Yeah.
Or maybe two people who are more adult than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like the Formula One example.
Yes.
Right. So those stories are very, very similar, which wasn't you standing by yourself in the pit lane, right? It was these two people that you're standing with, a race car driver and a multimillionaire team owner, kind of like mom and dad, a charity worker and a teacher who are highly qualified people. But in that moment, you're just a family and you're a part of that family. And you may be the youngest, least qualified person, but you're still a part of the family.
Yeah.
And those two are exactly the same story. That incredible sense of oh my God, this is it. I love this. I'm in the car with them.
Yeah.
This is it. And everybody's relaxed and we're enjoying ourselves. And I'm a part of this, and they see me as equal.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't look down on me. And you said, I feel like I've arrived. You feel like I'm here. But it was also that they treated you that way.
Yeah.
And so your why is very much about feeling a part of the family, feeling a part of the team. And I would venture to say that you're at your happiest when you are working with people in common cause to do something together, and where you struggle is when you're asked to do things alone.
And to hear that in full, download the High Performance app for free right now, and you can hear the full conversation as Simon guided me through finding my own why. Right, back to the conversation.
So if we turn the lens onto yourself, how did you come to discover your why then?
So I reached a point in my career where I had fallen out of love with my work. Superficially, my life was good. You know, I owned my own business. We had amazing clients. We did amazing work.
Doing what? What was?
I had a marketing consultancy.
Yeah.
In New York, and I didn't want to wake up and do it anymore. I was done.
And was that a sudden realization or a dawning one?
I mean, you know, these things always feel sudden, but they've been, you know, that's a slow boiling frog until you realize the water's boiling. So the answer is, who knows? It showed up, you know, like how long does it take to feel depressed? I don't know. Yeah. And I was deeply embarrassed, feeling bad because I shouldn't. Look what I'm doing. Look at the things I'm getting to do. Like I shouldn't be, you know, depressed or, you know, not want to go to work. And so I kept all those negative feelings to myself, which really is stupid. And the feelings got darker and darker and darker, and they feed on themselves. And that's the problem with keeping negative feelings to yourself. They fester and grow. And it got to the point where I was in really a dark place. But all of my energy went into pretending that I was happier, more in control, and more successful than I really felt. So nobody knew. Okay. And it wasn't until a very dear friend of mine came to me and said, there's something wrong. There's something different. I don't know what it is, but something's off. And I, for whatever reason, I opened up and came clean. And it was cathartic. You know, it was a weight lifted off my shoulders. And all of that energy that went into lying, hiding, and faking every day, I now had new energy, renewed energy to actually find a solution. I'll spare you the long, drawn-out story, but I had already articulated this idea of the why and the golden circle to explain why some marketing worked and some marketing didn't. Okay. And it was the discovery of the human brain, the limbic brain and the neocortex, which I learned at a dinner party. I was sitting next to somebody who their dad was a neuroscientist. I mean, it was just like polite conversation, and like bells started going off. And I realized it didn't explain why marketing worked. It explained why people do what they do. And I realized this was my problem. I knew what I did. I knew how I did it, but I couldn't tell you why. That's what I needed to find. And I couldn't do it for myself. And so I brought in an outsider who had objectivity and took me through some sort of version of his process and mine. That really helped. But the more important thing was I figured out how to help my friends find their why. Sure. And that's what I started doing. I started helping my friends find their why.
But there's an element of your story there, and thank you for sharing it, that I think takes courage to do that, whether it was that friend of yours that has just spotted that something is off with you, to ask you that, the courage to open up and be honest and be vulnerable with them is something that I think doesn't get referred to enough.
Thank you, but I disagree.
Because?
I think my friend had the courage, not me. You know, I think it's really hard when your friends say to you, there's something wrong, and you go, no, everything's fine. And then they let it go. Or they're not even willing to say something's off. They just kind of, it's too uncomfortable. You know, we don't like discomfort. We certainly don't like causing discomfort, and we certainly don't want to create tension or a fight. And so we just leave it. And I think the courageous friends, the friends who truly, truly, truly love you, are the ones who will lean into that tension and go, I don't care what you say, and I know you're lying to me. I love you to death, and I know something's wrong, and I'm going to keep asking you until you tell me, you know? And more importantly, whatever it is, I got you. I love you. You're safe. I don't know what it is, and I don't care what it is. Just know that I'm your partner, and you are never alone. And the friend who helped me, that became the way we said I love you to each other. We used to say, you're never alone, because that's how it all started. You know, she said to me, you're not alone here. So I think she had the courage to get me to open up, and then I just stepped into the safe space.
So if we accept that courage was present,
for sure,
there,
for sure, I just won't take the credit.
Yeah, no, and that's very noble of you. But I think the reason I'm asking that is because for anyone listening to this, Simon, I'm interested in you articulating what are the benefits of being prepared to ask these questions that are often that go unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, human beings are, despite our own self opinions, we're not that strong and we're not that smart. But in teams and groups, we're amazing. And so trying to solve your own life problems by yourself, I've got some really bad news. You can't. Which is why addiction exists. Because I can't solve these problems myself. I can't overcome the stress myself. So I'm going to drink, or I'm going to do something else that's harmful to myself, my family, and my relationships. As all addictions are, whether you're
All right. Simon is getting us together today, right? I love how transparent he is and how authentic he is. He's not trying to put on a front for anyone, and he's just really enjoying the moment and even share some things about himself. But I want you all to share what you thought about what he said. Do you agree with him? Is he, on the right path? Is it you're on the fence with it? You're completely down with him? But I really like how he comes. All right. And don't worry. Okay. There's going to be another part to this. We are not closing out the month with purpose work. So come back next month to get more into it, because as you can see, he is not done what he is saying. So we are going to tune in to hear everything that he's talking about. Okay. But yes, one thing that really stuck out was the fact that he said that when you're by yourself, you try to do it alone. You can't do it alone. Being in teams is when you come out on top. And so we have to really learn to work together. No one who is successful did it on their own. No one who is multimillionaire, billionaire, wealthy in different ways, right? It's not just about the money. Wealth is mental health, physical health, emotional health, financial health, overall health is wealth, right? So if you got all a bunch of money but everything else sucks, you're not really wealthy. You just got a lot of money, all right? So let's not get it twisted, all right? It's an overall thing. But for those of us who have gotten to a place where you're wealthy in different areas, multiple areas, all the areas, that is when you can look back and see how many people actually helped you to get to that point, right? It's not just about you, all right? So when this is posted, I want you all to share in the comments what your purpose work is, what stood out to you the most from this video, from this live, what helped you, right? If you're struggling in finding your purpose work, what's something in the video that helped you to kind of tap into what you think it might be? Share what your purpose work is. You never know who you're going to help by someone seeing your comment and saying, this is exactly what I need right now. Let me connect with this person. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. All right. All right, y'all. So that is the close for this part. Make sure to come back next month to see part 5 of this. All right. And thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, I hope you have an amazing Monday and an awesome, positive, peaceful, and productive rest of your week. See you later. Intellects here, and welcome to Intellects Artrepreneur Agency, the Indeed for Artists. If you want to be a part of the intellectual community, check us out. We have so much going on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and everywhere in between. And we even got our own app, okay? So make sure to check us out. Go to intellects.com. Go to our link tree. Look us up on social media at Intellects APC so that we can best serve you. All right. We thank you so much for being a part of our vision. We appreciate you. And we wouldn't be here without all of our amazing subscribers and supporters. Don't forget to sign up for the talent show every month. And someone always leaves with the prize. And don't forget to take advantage of all of our special offers, our events, our merch, our resources, our referrals, because we are here to serve you, okay? And thank you for the love. Until next time.